door over to where she stood and shut it off. At least he wasn't going to make her shout over the sound of the engine. "Did you need something?" She held out the plate and the lemonade. "The ladies inside noticed how hot you looked out here." Judging from the way he grimaced, she should have phrased that differently. Then again, the statement was true no matter which way he chose to interpret it. Almost any woman with a pulse would have noticed. Luckily, she wasn't that type at all. Yeah, right. Time to get down to business. Well, actually, they thought you might appreciate a cold drink and a snack. He glanced past her toward the large picture window on the front of the big Victorian behind her. From the way he tightened his grip on the lawnmower handle, she didn't have to look to know that the ladies were back at the window. At least he managed a small smile as he nodded in their direction and finally accepted the glass. He chugged down the lemonade in a matter of seconds and then shoved the glass back in her hand. "Would you like some more?" "I'm good. You can leave the brownies on the steps. I'll pick them up when I'm done mowing." His dark eyes bored into hers. "And for the record, I don't need an audience when I'm working." He walked away before she could do more than sputter. The man was insufferable, even if he was right. The agreement he'd had with Aunt Sybil was reduced rent in return for doing odd jobs around the place. He was entitled to his privacy. That didn't keep her from muttering as the lawnmower roared back to life. Maybe people wouldn't stare so much if he kept your shirt on. Abby set the plate down by his discarded T-shirt. As she rejoined her guests inside, Louise said,
"The lemonade must have cooled him right down. He's putting his shirt back on, although he certainly doesn't look very happy right now."
Abby's cheeks burned. Had he heard her? If so, he must have the hearing of a bat to pick up her comment over the roar of that engine. Well, she hadn't said anything but the truth. Rather than discuss the matter any further, she sat down and reached for a brownie and her own glass of lemonade. After a brief internal debate, she added a second brownie to her plate. It had been that kind of a day.
"We were talking while you were outside." Louise patted Abby on the hand. "It's not fair of us to assume that you would host the garage sale just because Sybil always did. We were thinking we could ask Dolly Cahill if we could use her place."
Jean didn't look convinced that was a good idea. "Is Dolly even back from Arizona? I sure haven't seen her around. Normally she lets me know when she gets back in town." "Do I know Dolly?" Abby tried to put a face with a name. "I'm sure I've heard the name, but I don't know that I've ever met her." Glenda reached for another cookie.
"Maybe not. She and Sybil weren't close."
When Jean snorted as if smothering a laugh, Glenda shot her a dark look before continuing.
"Dolly is a snowbird and always leaves town right after Christmas. She stays gone until the weather warms up here. Having said that, I haven't heard that she's back yet."
There was no use in dragging things out. Abby eyed a third brownie but decided against it. "Seriously, I don't mind having the sale here this year. Just let me know what I need to do to get ready and when you want to have it." An hour later, Abby helped the ladies back down the front steps and got Jean settled into the back seat of Glenda's sedan. After tucking Jean's walker into the trunk and shutting the lid, she stepped back out of the way and waved as the car pulled away. As much as she enjoyed spending time with Aunt Sybil's friends, sharing both memories and laughs, she was ready for some alone time. It seemed as if her life had been in a constant uproar for the past 6 months or more, and moments of peace and quiet had been rare. The only problem was that there was so much she needed to be doing. Before heading back inside, she paused to study her new home. She'd yet to decide if she was going to live in it for the foreseeable future, or if she should get the place ready to sell. Either way, the house needed some serious upgrading. At least Aunt Sybil had had it painted top to bottom, inside and out, just last year, so that much was done. The large yard was a whole different matter. Her aunt had always been an avid gardener, priding herself on having garden tour quality landscaping. But over the past few years, the flower beds had definitely gotten out of hand. A lot of the trees and shrubs needed to be pruned or even taken out altogether. Blackberry brambles had gradually taken over one entire corner of the backyard and were slowly creeping closer to the small mother-in-law cottage where Trip Blackston had recently taken up residence. Speaking of the man himself, he'd finished mowing and was now edging the flower beds along the side of the house. He might not be the friendliest person she'd ever met, but he was certainly a hard worker. She quickly moved out of sight. This was her house and her yard, and she had every